Well, boys, she died. And thank goodness for that. We got her all cleaned up. If you don't take your hearts, you should. They're delicious. Thank you, Dave, for having me out for another year of gun season.
No problem.
I'm going to see what condition the liver is in because this was a little back. So I'm going to see what condition the liver is in, and we'll give that to the landowner's dog because the dog loves that shit. So stay tuned. We got 2 more to do. I might see if I can get Dave here to film field dressing one of these so you guys can kind of see how we do it.
We shot 3 does this morning, so we're just going to go out and sit. There's a couple of really nice deer running around this property, so we're going to go check that out. Apparently the firing pin on my rifle is bad, so I'm going to sit and film and drink a couple beers. And Deer Slayer over here is going to be behind the trusty old 243, so sit back and enjoy the ride. Hopefully we'll be able to get you a shot of a nice big old deer hitting the dirt. Hey guys, so here, hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow. Today I'm going to be cutting up some deer. This is what we shot during my rifle season here in Wisconsin. So we got a couple of deer to work on. Basically, I found a place that will take just your trim. So I'm going to get all my roast cuts, all my steak cuts, get all that off. Then everything else that I would normally grind myself, I'm going to put into some Ziploc bags, stick in a cooler, and take to a butcher for grinding because they can do it a lot faster than I can. So today, this afternoon, I'm going to show you guys how to, or at least how I, butcher some deer. And I guess I'm probably going to start with the one that's on the Gambo right now because that's probably the safest one to start with. So, there we go. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get the hide off. So, on these deer, not that I'm going to be caping any of these out for a mount or anything, but just like you would with any of your fur bearers, I like to try to go right along the color change line here. So you're just going to make a nice cut there. And now these back legs, this is where all your steaks are going to come from. So, and the majority of your big roasts too. So, get that down to about right there. And you're going to bring this over and around. And you got to be really careful not to cut through that tendon. That tendon is what is holding this on here. So just be really careful. And okay. Yeah, there we go. You can just make a quick cut right there. Okay. So that's one side. I'm just going to start peeling this down like this. Now you guys can see there's some bark on here. And that's because I've had these things hanging up for a couple days. So, it's going to come right there. I'm just going to peel this back. Okay. This is going to come off nice and easy now. You heard me say it earlier, right? I like to work with everything below my hands because that's going to give me the best leverage. All right. I'm trying really hard not to cut into those big muscle groups because that's where our best steaks and roasts come from, is off this back leg here, and I'll show you those in a second. Okay, so Tailbone. Alright. Now we're going to do same thing on this side. Okay. Just kind of start up here. Okay. Cut through. Okay. Alright. There's that. And then I want to go just right down this color change line. That way, if you do have a deer that you either decide you want to cape out, or if you're like me and you also trap for fur bears, this will give you a little more. This will give your hide, like if you have some leather made, so actually give you a little nicer leather. Okay. This pull back. See that? All we're trying to do in there is just get the hide peeled up and away from the meat. Should basically pull right off over here. All we've got left on the backside to do there is just that. This stuff all along here, okay? A lot of guys throw this piece of meat. It's on top of these ribs. They either throw that out or it just goes right in their grind pile. But I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, okay? That makes some absolutely phenomenal flank steak if you take the time to take it off. I'll show you how to do that. Yeah, cut it just right down through the tail, and then okay, now this is down a ways in front of me. So on my gambrel here, I like to keep everything at eye level. So I'm just gonna pull this back up. Might have to let this rotate a little bit so just gonna get this a little ways further. Okay, do the same thing here. Just gonna start peeling this down. All right. Okay, so now here, I'm just gonna try cut this down this way as far as I can, because this guy will make some really soft leather because he's younger. See that? And didn't take much. So, nice shot placement on this deer, right in through the shoulder. It's a long shot deer. One shot and a long shot, I suppose. That's always great. So now, make this really easy and go around the knee. Okay. Just gonna go right around through there. Alright. Find and follow the color change line. It's right about there. And we're just gonna unzip that all the way up the shoulder and out. Just a little bit. So that we can get in here. And we should be able to just skin this down and out. Alright. Same thing on the other side. Let's go right above the knee. Okay. Okay. Like that. Make sure that's nice and open. Open up. Okay. Just right up inside that color change line. Now, there's a ton of guys out there, plenty of guys out there, that will tell you, oh, you don't need a special knife, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they're right. You don't. You can get this done with just about any knife in your kitchen. I personally like to have a knife for each job that I know is going to do that job. You can get butchering kits just about anywhere for a very, very small amount of money. They make your life easier. Okay, see, so now I can just take my hands in here and just push this down. Off. Tuck that up through there. Okay. See? Up. Same thing on this side. Just try to get your hand between the skin and the meat. Get your body weight. Push this down. And this shoulder's going to come off. It's okay, it's going to come off anyway. Okay. Alright. Now. Okay, now, just gonna keep going on this, and try to be careful in here. You're starting to get up into the third loins. I'll show you what those are in a second. This is all the head in here. Your neck roasts are in here too, okay? So I really don't like to waste too much meat on the neck. So I basically take these guys as far back as I can get them. Okay. All right, just go slow. Take your time. You know. And okay. So that's all. I'm going to leave that just like that. So here's my first thing I'm going to do on this deer is get this front shoulder off. Okay. So I am just lifting and pulling, and that whole shoulder blade will come out just nice and easy, just like that. You can see, I mean, this side got fairly destroyed by the bullet, which is good. You know, that's what we want. So I'm going to set this on my table right here. I'm gonna come over here, do the same thing. Pull this up, okay? And there we go. You can kind of separate that out. Get that off of there. All right. You can see where this connects. So all we're gonna do is let's go right up along in there. Just cut and pull. Keep a little bit of pressure on so that whole thing comes off. Okay, so front shoulders. Okay, there's not a ton on here. All right, this is a smaller deer. There is the flat iron is on the bigger side of this. So let me see if I can just get some of this off of here real quick. And I'm going to show you guys where that is. I'm probably not going to take flat irons off this guy because it's just not worth it on one this small. No, on that big doe that's hanging there, absolutely I'm taking flat irons. All right, so your flat iron is going to be right here, okay? And there's a large piece of sinew that runs through the middle of it, or silver skin, or whatever you want to call it, that runs through the middle of that. And that you have to take out if you're going to process your flat irons. Okay, so you guys heard me mention third loins. That is right here. Okay, so this chunk of meat, okay, that goes along this esophagus right here. These are, well, you call them whatever you want. I call them third loins. Some guys call them throat loins. You can call them whatever you want, but I highly, highly recommend taking these because these are great. Even on a small deer like this one, these are great. Okay. Alright. Our esophagus. Just gonna cut these off right up here. Alright, there we go. So, is it a huge chunk of meat? No. It's not. But it's absolutely worth taking. Alright, so there's that. Okay, this is basically going to be the front half of the deer. This isn't going to take too long, just because there's not a ton on here. But alright, so here's the spine now. Okay, now we're into the spine. So what I'm going to do, you'll hear that knife thunk, thunk, thunk. Okay, those are the spinal processes. Alright, I'm going to basically try to, on the inside out, this is all garbage in here, so this, okay. See all this in here? This is all neck roast muscle, guys. So if I can get this all off in one big piece, I'll have one really nice neck roast that I can then trim down. I'm gonna like cut around here and all the way down. Alright. I'm basically just trying to fillet this off of these bones. There's a bone there. Alright, there we go. Just like you would a fish. Okay? All you're trying to do is free that meat up off of that bone. Let's just try it nuts because it's really in my way here. Oh. But it's hard to close that too. Okay, hopefully this doesn't fling out and hit me in the head, and that would suck. And you can take this neck roast all the way back. Okay? All the way back in here to this, to the start of this shoulder. Tenderloin starts right there. So this right here makes literally the world's best pot roast. Like, I am not kidding you when I say that. And I love pot roast. All this connective tissue in here breaks down and gives you a really, really nice and remember, guys, there's gonna be some blood shot meat on here, okay? So I'm not saying that this is what my final cut is gonna look like, right? This is just getting the meat off. So that is a whole neck roast. Now obviously I said there was some bloodshot meat on here. I'm gonna have to do some trimming, but we're making progress. Okay. I really need to get this deer turned around. All right. It's right here. Okay. That's right in here. All right. You're gonna follow this up and along to where you got that off. Okay. There's a lot of bloodshot meat up through here. That's all right. Basically, you know, I try to get as much off of here as I can. Okay. This is not going to be, there's not a giant piece of meat here for me to show you. Okay. But what is right here is a whitetail brisket. Okay. It's going to be completely different than the brisket on a cow. It will have the same texture. You can smoke this. You can make a roulade with this where you stuff it, tie it up with twine, and then slow cook it either in like a crock pot or on a... Alright, here we go. See how this is all just kind of coming off of here like this? It's nice and slow, nice and easy. Okay. There. So that right there is a whitetail brisket. Now again, it's not a huge chunk of meat. There's a lot of bloodshot on here because of where this deer was shot, through this shoulder. So there's going to be a lot of trim on this. And this particular brisket, again, because of where it was shot, that's going to mostly go in the grind pile. Same thing with this one. It's just where this one was shot. The brisket's not very good. Now on this one, see this? Okay, top of the shoulder blade right here. So this brisket is going to be good. So that's when I can take off and use. Okay, so that's third loins, neck roast. See this right here? This is a big piece that now I can just take this off right here. And on the edge, and this can just go right into my trim pile, which I suppose I'll put right there. See? Okay. So I gotta get this guy turned around this way. So I'm gonna drop this down a little ways just so I can work on him a little better. Okay. Alright. He's gonna turn this way. Alright. And now go back up with him. Get him a little more. More in line. What I'm going to be working on next. So there we go. All right. So this is the part you want to be really, really careful on, okay? So this, I can take all this right here, okay? I'm not on my tenderloin yet. There's a muscle that covers your back strap, okay? You don't want to cut through that muscle. All right. And now you guys can see, here's the spine right here, okay? And here's these ribs. So, it's the back end of the tenderloin, right here. I'm gonna stop this cut right here, right? And I'm just gonna try to find this piece of meat. Look at that. See how easy that is? I'm just going to try and make sure I get that piece of meat right here, okay? And when I get this pulled up and away from my tenderloin. Now, okay, well, oh, good, there's not a rib in there. All this right here, if this was in better shape, it would be flank steak. It's not in better shape. So, guess where it goes? Trim pile. Okay? I'm going to cut out a bunch of that blood. Alright, you'll see that in a minute. Now I'm going to do this exact same thing on this side. Alright? And then we'll be getting into some of what I like to call the fun cuts here in just a little bit. That, if anybody out there wants to, you can render your deer fat. It's not something I've done before, it's not something I'm familiar with, but I told myself that if I got a real fat one I would. I don't think I did, so there's not a whole lot I need to do with that. Okay, again, you can see this muscle here, okay, wants to peel away from my tenderloin or my backstrap or whatever you guys want to call this. It's just right here. You don't have to make that deep of a cut. As a matter of fact, you can generally just use your fingers, just like I just did. And I apologize in advance. This is probably going to be a pretty long video. Don't like listening to me talk, it's great. Don't have to, but I am going to be showing off some pretty sweet butchering skills here in just a minute. Because it seems like every year I see Facebook posts of guys with tomahawk steaks, and people are like, oh, that's so cool, how'd you get that? You know, kind of stuff. I'm going to show you. Okay, trim pile. Again, trim pile. What's this? Trim pile. Okay. So, this right here, okay, I am going to take that rib and I'm going to bring my knife all the way in until I feel the back strap, until I feel the spine. Okay, this right here is going to be my boneless loin. Now you can do all kinds of stuff with this. The only thing you can't do with this is grind it. Okay? This is pretty much, there's a lot of guys, a lot of places that this is the only thing they take steaks out of. They take steaks out of here. They take steaks out of the inner loins, which I've already removed on this deer, because when you hang an aged deer, okay, right there, okay, it's my boneless loin. I don't have to do anything else with this piece of meat. This piece of meat is ready to be wrapped. That's all you need on that. So same thing here, okay? You want to be right along that spine when you do this. Take it down to about the top of the first rib. Bring that over, all right? And this is basically just going to slide right off of here, okay? Again, kind of like you're doing a fish for you guys that fish all the time. All right. It's just a big tendon. Okay, see? See, I left that nice and thick right on top of those ribs. Okay? There's my other boneless loin. Right? This one has a little bit of the aging bark on it, so I'm going to trim that off. Alright, so for this part, don't use a knife blade that you've used on beaver caster. That will ruin everything you're doing. So for this part, bone saw blade here. All right. A lot of guys try and rush this part. Do it with a sawzall. You don't need to do this with a sawzall. A hand saw is more than enough. Okay, this is my Havlon Barracuda. Love this knife. I love that it is so freaking awesome. Just like that, I've now got a bone saw. Okay, so God, I hate this fucking ladder. This might get a little dicey, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna turn this guy. I'll get this put out so I've got something to brace him against. And yeah, this is the problem with hanging so many of these fucking things all in one spot. Okay, so see this in here? So first, I've already got my brisket off, okay? So I can... Okay, sawzall would be nice for this. Sorry if the camera's wobbling all over the place, guys. I'm sure that's fun to watch. So, that's nice and open. All right. Now, all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come in here, okay, and just as close into that spine as you can get. Okay, these ribs are very thin. Okay, doesn't take a lot, right? See that? It really doesn't take a lot of effort at all. Okay? once this part comes off right here, this gets a hell of a lot easier. Trying to do is just go along the top of those. Alright, so go back to a small sharp knife. Okay, that way. We're gonna untwist him. Alright, just going to get right down along the spine here. We're going to make one cut to free those up. Okay. Just slowly. Okay. And now, now, we can go back to the saw, okay? Because we've got this part released. So now we can go back to the saw. Okay, so there. So this now is your bone-in loin. So what I'm going to do next, okay, is basically cut this to the length of rib that you want for your presentation. Okay, I'm probably going to go about there. So, what I'm gonna do here, basically, you know, this is a lot of work, right? Kind of a lot of work. Oh. Okay. Well, let's get this other one off first. I'll show you how to do what's called a French loin here in just a second. So again, I know the light's not great, but all you're gonna do is just right along the stumps of those bones, just take handsaw, whatever you got handy. Alright, you just want to get that started. Okay, these bones, like I said, they're not super thick. Okay. Alright, so that, there. That's all broken off of there. Okay. Now all we do, come back to our sharp knife, right? just gonna, again, basically all you're doing is just filleting fish. Okay, what you're trying to do here is take the meat, follow that through to where that's cut. Okay. I hope that makes sense. All right. Now, I love doing it this way for a couple of reasons. Okay. This is how you cut a tomahawk steak. All right. So for all you guys who post on Facebook, oh, those tomahawk steaks are so cool. You know, I wish I knew how to do that. That would be awesome. Now you know. So once you cut this, right, to the length of rib you want to show, okay, you fillet all of this out and all of that back. So I'm going to leave this over here, just like this. You guys can see those, okay? So, guys, we're just cooking right along here, right? So, last thing to do on here is to just get these hindquarters off, and I'll get those put up on the table because I'm gonna cut these on the table. I don't like cutting these while they're still hanging above my head. So again, here's the spine, okay? Just come in, find that spine, follow that down and around, until you get this off of here. Okay. And this is where the majority, what's going on there? Okay. Okay. That's my, okay. That hip, and I should be able to just come in like this. You guys can see I'm working over my head. I don't like doing that. All I'm trying to do is free up enough meat to where I can see the ball joint. Okay, because all I'm gonna do once I get this off of there is pop that ball joint out. Now free up my quarter. All right. So once I get that freed up, great. There we go. Get this down where I can see him again. All right, well, there's good for me. Put this up. Okay, there's that quarter off. Okay? I don't like letting that touch, but there's usually a pretty good skin scale, whatever you want to call it, on there. Same thing over here. Okay? Just gonna peel this down. Try to stay along the spine. Alright. Same thing in here. Try to get in here. There we go. There. Okay. So, this is what that looks like. Okay, there's a glob of meat right here that I missed. Just gonna hook this in my trim pile. Oh, maybe not. Maybe that's just bone. Okay, so see, guys? Okay, got it broken down. All right. So, oh, there. And these are here's an outside round. Okay. Inside round is down in here. This big piece here, this is your sirloin. Okay, a lot of good steaks there. He doesn't really have one for me to show you, but this piece on top right here, this is like technically your tri-tip. Yeah, see, I cut through that a little bit on accident when this is your bottom round. So yeah, so this is where all your steaks, roasts, big steaks, big roasts, this is where all that's gonna come from. So, since I know that I've got most of this stuff over here, and I know that I've still got to deal with my rack of ribs, I want to do a quarter for you real quick, or a hind quarter for you real quick, so you can see where all that stuff is, and at least you can get an idea of how breaking one of these bad boys down works. Okay, so still using the same little sharp knife, you know. I'll switch over to my gelled blood is gross. I hate that stuff. All right, so I'll switch over to to a butchering knife, okay, like a butchering knife to actually slice through my steaks, or a boning knife if I think I need to get to that point. But okay, so here, this first, just kind of get first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to follow the lines of the fat, okay? Because that's really going to open up and expose all these different muscle groups in here. Okay. See how nice and easy this all just pulls apart, right? Down in here, there's another line, okay? If you can get this stuff, might be cutting in too much meat there. Okay. See, guys, there's absolutely no need to hack this apart, turn all this into grind. This right here, okay, see this right here? See? Whoops, messed up a little bit. Okay, not a big deal. Okay, so this is your outside round. See, I screwed that up, no big deal. Trim pile, boom. This, right here. Needs to be trimmed off. Okay. Okay, there's one big chunk of steak. Okay, so now here's my sirloin. Okay, it's gonna come off again, one big chunk. Watch. Just gonna pull this back. Okay, see how that? See how that's all just a muscle line? Okay, that's what you're looking to follow. That's what people are talking about when they talk about muscle lines and following the lines in the leg to separate out your big muscle groups. Drove me nuts the first couple of times I started doing this myself because I couldn't figure out what the hell they meant. Drove me absolutely bonkers. Trim pile. Absolutely bonkers. Was infuriating. I couldn't figure it out. But see, if you just drag tip of this knife blade, right? Oh, there's the seam right there. Okay? You're just dragging the tip of that knife, and you're just following this piece of meat right here. This is what I'm trying to get. Okay. Oh, there's the bone. All right. See how nice and clean that comes off of there? Okay. This one here is going to be my sirloin. All right. This right here, well, I could have technically left this with the sirloin, but it's okay. No, I'll leave it on there. That's your, technically your tri-tip, I believe that's what that is. Come in here. Now there can be a lot of connective tissue. See, there's my knee. That's my ACL or MCL or something for this thing. I can't remember which. There can be a lot of connective tissue in here because this sirloin technically has a couple of different muscle groups. But that, see what you can do. I'm not actually going to do this, but you can just make a cut right there. Roll this out, stuff it, roll it back, and tie it up really nice, and either put it in your smoker, your slow cooker, your oven if you're feeling real bold. Okay, so here's another one, right? All I'm doing here is looking to separate out these big muscle groups. So this would be your, let me think about this for a second. I think this is your inside round, okay, or your eye of round. And then you got this piece back here. All right, now this has some bark on it from aging, because you know you got to cut these open somewhere, right? So this stuff isn't really good for much, unfortunately. However, now that this deer has had a chance to age, right, it will be more tender, a lot more enjoyable. Okay, this is another really good piece for steaks right here. I'll get this out for you, just give me a second. Alright, cut all this shit out of here. Okay, it's all tendons. See how nicely that just lifts right out of there. This is another round. I can't remember if this is your... Okay, here's what I'm going to do. For simplicity's sake, okay? I'll put all my rounds together. Okay? There. Now, this piece right here, okay? I don't even know what the hell this is on an elk, you know. I would say, yeah, you probably want to keep that together for me. This is really about all I'll let myself grind off of a back leg, and that's just because I'm not 100% sure what category that falls in, and also because my family eats a lot of ground venison. But you can see, right? So this has to come off here. Okay. Nope. But you can see, right? Oh yeah, okay. Sorry, there's more on here, yeah. So, rushing a little bit there. One more. Nice. Big ball roast on here. This guy can go in the grind pile. I'm just going to take this off. This is starting to get into the shank. There's a lot of people out there who say, use your shanks for this, use your shanks for that. Well, here to tell you, on a deer the size of this one, okay, this is not the most usable shank I've ever seen in my life. Now, am I sad about this deer? Absolutely not. Okay? Every deer is a trophy. The person who shot this deer is a member of the family that owns the property. And they are gracious and kind enough to have me out every single year to help me fill my freezer. Right? There you go. Cut that tendon out of there. Okay. These leave whole for roasts. Okay. That, it's not huge on this one, so I will probably wrap this with the other one, and then when I get the other one off, meaning off of that quarter, and then when I'm actually ready to cook these, this will make a great piece of kebab meat. So it's going to go separate. All right. Now these two guys, these are absolutely steak cuts. I'd rather eat a Venison steak than anything else in the world. This stuff, I should try to get some stuff off of there at least. This side, same thing. Now this, okay, I'm gonna retract what I said earlier. Okay, that could absolutely go for pot roast or something like that. Okay, so let me show you how to take apart a leg bone. So you know how to do it, right? You gotta get in here. You gotta cut these big tendons and hold this thing together. Okay, it's all tendon and cartilage. You don't need a saw to do this. All right. There we go. See that? I just did that with my hands. Okay. This. Now you want to be careful back here because you're getting mighty close to that tarsal gland, right? That's when a buck, that's what a buck lets pee dribble down his leg. Okay, that pee, what's that gland, right? And that's how they scent mark an area. I really want to get this bone out of here. I might have to do a little more skinning on this just to get that out of here. I want you guys guys to see, because these really are tremendous bones to use for stock. Now if you have a dog, right, take the bottom part of this foot, you're gonna leave that tarsal gland in there, and that is what you can use to help train a dog for deer tracking. So if you have houndsmen in your area that also do deer recovery, you can make yourself a real stalwart friend by giving the rest of this to them. And who knows, hopefully nobody ever needs their services. Hopefully none of you guys that watch this channel ever need the services of a deer tracking dog. But okay. It happens. Go. Ah, there. Okay. Okay, there you go. So these two bones right here, this bottom shin, this femur. You got a lab? Give that to your lab. You want to make stock? These go on a cookie sheet, a couple hours in the oven at a real low temp. You're gonna roast them with your carrots, veggies, all that good stuff. All I'm doing over here is organizing, like this pile right here. I know this pile is good, none of it's bloodshot. I don't have to go through and trim any of that shit up. That's why it's in that pile. This pile all needs to be sorted out. This needs to be cubed, trimmed to blood. These still need to be cut. Same thing with this brisket here needs to be trimmed, cubed, whatever. There's a piece right here that I might actually be able to salvage for a flank steak, which would be nice because I really like flank steaks for fajitas and that kind of shit. There's a couple things left to do. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this right in here somewhere. If you want, so you can see this piece actually, I think might still have the breastbone on there, or I cut right straight through the middle of the breastbone maybe. Anyway, if you ever wanted to try venison ribs, okay, they would come from the bottom half of this, right? You'd take right here, you'd cut this off, all down through right here. Here's that inner membrane, just like on a pig, okay? So you got to make sure you peel that off, and this is where your venison ribs would come from. There's a ton of cookbooks out there that have venison rib recipes, but this is basically what you're left with, okay? Brisket, you can cut that down for flank steaks or whatever. 2 boneless loins, 2 cuts that can be trimmed and sliced into steaks. 2 roasts, you can package those just by themselves. 2 really nice pieces for kebabs. You know what? I'm going to show you how to do this because it's my favorite cut of meat. It looks so nice when you're all done with it. Let me see if I got my tin snips. another Christmas gift idea. If the person in your life that hunts doesn't have a pair of really nice game shears. Oh, nice. Okay, so this is gonna make life a lot easier, and this is what I'm gonna use to do. Okay guys, sorry, my GoPro ran out of time. So here's a piece. This can all get parted out for trim. Okay? I can go to the butcher just like that. So, one thing, this is me just being picky, is I like to try to keep this stuff as close, straight line as I can, just because I'm picky and weird. I want it to look nice, okay? So there's that. Now, all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna go right over the top of these ribs first, okay? Now, look, if there was a butcher in my area that would do this for me, I would totally be willing to pay them. There's not. Which sucks, because this is so cool when it's done. It looks so nice. It looks so professional. Okay, so that's most of that. So now all I'm gonna do, I'll come through here, okay? Follow the contour of each rib. All right. There's probably not enough here worth saving. A little trim pile. I can pretend like there is. Right. So guys and gals, people that hunt, you're not gonna get this if you just take your shit in somewhere, okay? They're just not gonna take the time to do this for you. And there's a reason for that. They got a lot of people that bring their stuff in every year. And they gotta get those orders cut. They gotta get them back to the customers. So here's what I would recommend. Find a place that you like that will at least accept your trim for you. And try doing some of this stuff for yourself, because it is so rewarding. Like, I'm making this roast right here, okay? This exact roast that you're seeing me cut. You're gonna see me cut this for my family Christmas with my mother-in-law, okay? Because she doesn't always like to cook, and I love to cook, and I love to cook stuff that I've spent a lot of time and effort on. And I love to cook venison. I think it tastes better than beef. I know there's people out there that are going to disagree with me. That's fine. So you want to be careful when you trim this up a little bit, because this edge of fat right here, okay, you don't want to cut that off, because that holds this whole thing in place. All right, so there's actually 3 muscles that go into the tenderloin, and that's okay, especially on a smaller deer like this one is. because all of that stuff is going to basically, when you slice this, you're not even going to notice it's there. So got a few more here. So you also want to look at it from the other side. You want to make sure that you got all the between the rib stuff, because you want this to look really pretty. Right? That's why you're taking the time to do this. Right? You want that wow factor. Because, I mean, if I'm taking the time to do all this work for a cut of meat, right? Like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it a little bit for myself. That's fine. I'll admit that. So this last rib here, can be a little tricky to get all this shit out of. And see, it's even separated a little bit. So that last one, I'm okay cutting that last rib out. And then what you'll end up with, and you know what, the backside of that's a little bloodshot anyway. Might as well take that out. Not serve somebody something that's gonna taste horrible. Be really tender, difficult, or really not tender, really difficult to eat. It's not gonna taste good. It won't taste bad, but it won't taste good. And there you have it, okay? This is your French loin, or a tip roast, or a crown roast, they're sometimes called, okay? Or I can't remember if there's any more names for it. Now, if you wanted to make this into tomahawk steaks, you would figure out how wide you would want them. I would personally probably go 2 ribs, and you cut it right there, and that would be your tomahawk steak. 2 more ribs, cut it right there. So that's what I'll do on probably the bigger doe that I've got. So that's probably what I'll do on the bigger doe that I've got. Just because I love tomahawk steaks. They're like my favorite thing to eat at Father's Day. So I'm going to make another French loin out of this deer because I need more meat than just this for my mother-in-law's. So yeah, but that is pretty much it. So to recap, skin your deer, front shoulders off, third loins off. You can kind of do any of those interchangeably. You can see me a little better. So skin it. Third loins. Shoulders. Neck roast. Brisket. Tenderloin, rib rack, however you want to call that. Quarters. Bones. And then the last thing I do at the end, you guys, I'm not going to bother showing you all this. The last thing I do is piece this all out for trim. All my trim will go in a bag for the butcher for grinding. So thanks so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. I really appreciate the time. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a very Merry Christmas and happy holiday season.